A couple of Baltimore's most inviting tourist sites have a decidedly macabre side, one involving a famous American writer, and the other a sailing vessel with the rumor of some ghostly spirits roaming the deck.
Ahoy there, matey.
Ahoy.
What's your name?
My name is Brian Auer.
And this is the USS Constellation. How old is this ship?
She was built in 1854. She was last under sail under her own power in 1893, so well over 100 years ago. She's roughly 179 feet long.
Baltimore has a great history. It's a great old town. And this ship has some history, and not all of it's good.
Yeah, there were some deaths on board, some injuries, all the above.
Some say that some of those spirits are still knocking around this old ship.
Yeah, we do have reports of people over the years seeing things on board and different things.
Oh, the horror. That just added a little drama there.
Yep.
Who better to tell us about the otherworldly sightings on the Constellation than noted paranormalist and historian Vince Wilson?
One of my favorite ghost stories, or the most macabre ghost stories, is that of a sailor who was so disillusioned that he hung himself from the upper deck, strung a rope up top, created a noose for himself. And sometimes people can, to this day, hear the swaying of the noose and see a silhouette in the night sky of a man hung from above.
Isn't there a story of people that came on the ship and met up with a tour guide who was dressed in period costume, gave them a nice tour, and then...
That's absolutely correct. When he came up and told the crew about this wonderful guide, he said, "We didn't have anyone in period costume today."
I'm recreating the job of the ship's powder monkeys, which were the...
Young boys.
Yeah, young boys as young as 11 years old were able to serve on ships like Constellation in the role of powder handlers, or as we call them, powder monkeys. Fun fact, on board a naval ship, there are no cannons. We only have guns. So these are just great guns.
Now, I don't suppose any of the guns in the ship still fire, do they?
Fire! Every sailor was assigned a hammock when they come on board.
And when that sailor died, it was his burial cloth.
That's correct.
Vince Wilson, fancy meeting you here. You're standing among the hammocks, and you have a tale to tell.
It's a story of an 11-year-old powder monkey running amongst the hammocks with a long cut slice across his face.
Gruesome.
Yes, it is pretty gruesome. And people can see his spirit darting in and out amongst the hammocks here, going back and forth by themselves.
A haunted powder monkey.
A haunted powder monkey, yes. Not a new show on Cartoon Network.
One of the main aspects of the paranormal here in Baltimore was a storyteller by the name of Edgar Allan Poe.
That's right. Well, it wasn't from Baltimore originally, but he certainly died here under mysterious circumstances.
And lived here for a few years. It's where he met his future wife. Here we are, Vince, in front of the Edgar Allan Poe home here in Baltimore.
That's right. He lived here with his wife, Virginia Clem Poe, and he wrote several of his most famous stories here as well until he died in 1849.
A little controversial that he met his future wife here, since she was only 7 at the time.
They met when she was 7. They married when she was 13. But still,
that makes it better. That makes it way better.
No, it's still awful by today's standards, but the life expectancy was a little different back then. He did most of his writing upstairs.
So, Vince, this would have been Poe's garret.
That's correct. It is made up to look like Poe's bedroom, but there's no real concrete evidence to suggest he definitely slept up here.
This may or may not be the raven from his poem.
That's correct.
Caw! Vince, we stand in front of the final resting place for Edgar Allan Poe.
That is correct. He was reinterred here. Beneath us is actually several feet of concrete to prevent souvenir hunting for a lock of Edgar Allan Poe's hair or whatnot.
The place he was originally buried...
It's right here. That's right, it's right here.
But they commemorated this with the raven, quoth, nevermore.
That's right, he'll nevermore be buried here.
Poe was discovered in someone else's clothing, stumbling around the streets of Baltimore and babbling. What were some of the theories about how he died?
The theory that he may have been murdered by a literary enemy.
Murder?
Yeah, murder. And that he was a victim of rabies.
What was the final theory?
Maybe he was robbed. That is also possible.
I'm going to go with a combination robbed and rabies.
That's right, rabid robbery. That's what we're going to call it now.
To visit Poe's final resting place, go to the corner of Green and Fayette Streets. As for his house, it's on North Amity Street, by appointment only. And the USS Constellation? Head to Baltimore's Inner Harbor. You can't miss it.